Hi, I'm Ashley Swartz. Welcome to my weekly segment on BTV. I'm the founder of Furious Minds, an advertising collective here in New York. And I am going to this week to talk about a report that just came out from YuMe on connected televisions and with some research they did. And my thoughts on it was sent to me by a dear friend that works for YuMe named Christy Hartzberger. And I'm excited to talk about the connected TV space, specifically show data points that reflect that this is a medium that is gaining momentum and becoming more valuable for advertisers. I welcome you to submit ideas or comments or feedback about this segment or others to Ashley at furious-minds.com so we can keep the conversation going. So the report that YuMe published, actually, they surveyed up 736 connected TV users, 18 to 54 years old. It skewed slightly male, about 58%. And they found that 30% of these individuals that were connected had connected television sets in their household, meaning that somehow they were using either an over-the-top device like a game console or Roku or Boxy, or you had a smart TV that was connecting direct to the internet, which is a pretty substantial number and pleasantly surprised me. So last year in 2011, we saw that 25% of television shipped in the US were smart TVs, meaning they were able to be connected directly to the internet. And we suspect that this year it's going to be 60% more in 2012, which is incredibly encouraging. I think also OEMs have done a great job of creating a better out-of-the-box experience, right? So if we reflect back to the war of this generation of consoles, the reason that Xbox won over the PS3, even though it was inferior hardware, was because they figured it out. The out-of-the-box experience, they cracked that nut, right? They shipped it with a headset, with a LAN cable ready to plug and play direct to the internet, and people plugged and they played online, they played multiplayer, and they won the battle, which is why they're the dominant gaming console today. So that being said, I think OEMs have come a large way, which has increased their connect rate as well. And connected TVs have become a key channel for video distribution and advertising. Interesting corollary that we've seen is that the screen size of the hardware correlates to the average duration of video. So we've seen that on mobile specifically, short form video content is what dominates and wins. And we're seeing that on connected televisions, whether it's through a set-top box or direct through an OEM experience, that longer form content is winning. Right now, episodic content like television shows are big, but at the end of the day, movies are dominating time spent on for long-form content on the actual television set in the household. And 90% of connected TVs notice ads on that platform. At the end of the day, they would prefer free content that is ad subsidized over a paid model, with the exception of for long-form content. So for short-form content, episodic content, they would prefer ads. They actually, 60% notice pre-roll advertising, and 19% actually suggest they made a purchase decision based on advertising around video. But when it comes to long-form content like film, they say no advertising. They prefer actually a paid subscription model. And they also seem to say, based on the research, that once the content starts, don't interrupt it with ads. We're happy to tolerate pre-roll and post-roll, but interstitial sort of compromises the quality of their experience. It's something to be noted, and it questions the value of pre-roll. Does that make pre-roll more or less valuable? If there's actually no engagement within the content itself, what does that mean for brand advertisers, for this as a distribution medium, and specifically for content owners? Where's their opportunity to monetize this? So an interesting thing was that I noticed was sort of one of the tables they had in the report was actions of connected TV viewers are most likely to take with ads. And there was a plethora of about 8 different behaviors here. So it was liked or follow a brand or product, press a button on the remote to get more info, press a button to go to a website, press a button to see a larger sort of immersive experience. And one of the questions that poses to me is that given that we're in an IP channel distribution and it's a two-way channel of communication, there are more ways to interact with a brand. So it sort of tells you that if you just look at the straight numbers, if there are more opportunities for engagement or means to engage with a brand and an advertiser, there's a greater likelihood of engagement to actually occur, which in and of itself creates value for IP delivered television content, whether long or short form. So what we saw further is that as a result of seeing advertising, 30% of these individuals that participated in the survey actually went and visited a website, and 25% liked a brand. So one of the questions that I had to myself is, if you go back to the Nielsen, Razorfish, Yahoo studies, where their stat was 36% of mobile multitaskers while watching television actually go to a website and search a brand. My question is that if this all of a sudden we have we have an IP delivered channel on the main screen, we have a two-screen paradigm where you're multitasking, does that suggest that brands are going to get better responses when they actually delivered specific calls to action in connected environments on the television? And that lends itself to a larger conversation we had 2 weeks ago when talking about a Tremor release, that I really think one of the ways to realize the value of this medium, specifically for IP delivered channels of episodic content, long form and short, is that you've got to start to leverage bespoke creative and to actually optimize your creative to get the most ROI for an advertiser. Just some more background and color is that one of the questions was posed with why. What's the motivation of folks to actually tune into IP delivered resources? And the sad part was that 49% of the survey respondents said because there was nothing on TV. And 43% said it was to catch up on TV, meaning they weren't getting what they wanted in the moment on television, so they tuned into a TV everywhere proposition that was delivered via IP. Discovery is also a really interesting change point here because it's not a linear distribution model, right? So search and discovery is completely different. Interesting enough, 41% are discovering vis-a-vis sort of recommendations, etc., and social. And then they're looking to, 33% are looking to other devices to actually get what to look to where they should watch and tune into. So they're using their mobile to figure out what they should tune into on their application that's sitting on their OEM environments. And at the end of the day, apps have won. So all the OEM solutions are apps driven. The Roku is an apps driven environment. Boxy is becoming more so. And we know the 360 with the Metro style is delivering an app value proposition. And it's driving content consumption. So 75% of content consumed, it's consumed through an application, which says a lot about actually how brands need to package, deliver, and make their content discoverable and allow individuals to curate their own programming experience in a TV everywhere model. So just to sort of, bring it all together, what does this mean, right? Well, for me, as I said, I just think it reaffirms the fact that there's an opportunity to create greater ROI by virtue of actually optimizing the creative and changing the messaging. And the proof point that I think we saw here in this data is that very specific calls to action that evolve and engage other hardware is a great opportunity for a brand. And the other big takeaway for me is this whole idea of channel optimization. We know that someone has multiple screens in their reach at a point in time, and they're using them in combination with one another. It takes us to a place where a brand needs to start to think about sequencing its message and looking at how devices are used in combination with one another and content is consumed experientially across multiple pieces of hardware, not just from one channel or one medium. And when it's in a non-linear construct and it's IP and it's on demand, that is a game changer. We need to get smarter and we need to get faster and we need to start to listen to our consumers more about how they want to consume content in these channels. If you have thoughts, ideas, you think I'm wrong, feel free to tell me. Ashley at furious-minds.com, and looking forward to seeing you next week. Thanks.